Goalkeepers, nervous strikers, they'll deliver. Crowd roars erupted, you can feel the quake.
Yeah, Chelsea has dropped points again. Disappointing result from Chelsea perspective. I was thinking Chelsea would, build on the very good result, even though the performance wasn't that great against Spurs. Got that 1-0 win. And I was hoping that Chelsea could go into this game, build on that, and then probably get a 1-0 win, 2-0 win, and just keep it rolling, especially when you have a team like Man City chasing you even so closely. But that wasn't to be the case. That didn't happen, obviously. Even from the way Enzo Maresca set up the team, my opinion was really, really poor. I couldn't make head or tails of the formation he put together. Palmer was on the bench. Nicholas Jackson was on the bench. I'll speak about Palmer in a minute, but Nicholas Jackson was on the bench. Palmer was on the bench. And then you had still Gusto started, but he ended up inverting all day, living in the half of the midfield as opposed to even providing support out wide for Noni Madueke. And then you had Rhys James as well playing at left back. Why just do that? And Lee Cucurella, on the bench. I don't know. We probably would say he's trying to rest Cucurella. I don't quite get it. Why players can't play 2 games in a week as usual, as used to be the case. Normally, you have a team play a midweek in a Champions League fixture, and then you play on the weekend. But now it seems, once you play one team, you have to bench a player, have to rest players. And then Nkunku, for me, having to play through the middle sometimes, he was just lost, absolutely lost. So for me, I'm out on Nkunku, Christopher Nkunku. Big fan of the player, his qualities, but I think for whatever reason, combination of him losing his head, losing confidence, and what Enzo Maresca has done with the way he treated him, prior to Nicholas Jackson's injury. So all things mixed together, I think he should just go. Whether it's go to Bundesliga, join Bayern Munich, go back to RB Leipzig, go to Spain, go to France, maybe join PSG, and win a Ligue 1 title there. But for me at Chelsea, unfortunately, I have been one person that I've been rooting for Nkunku and hoping and praying that it would work at Chelsea. But the way it's turned out, it's not going to work. So he should just go. I think that would serve both parties well. He should just go. And then for me, Sanchez isn't obviously a very good goalkeeper. He's not the best goalkeeper you want, but today he put up some very important saves, especially from Mbuemo, Brentford on the break. Resulted in a goal, and Chelsea would have been the spot of bother, and it would have even been a worse result because if Brentford had at any time got the first goal, it would have turned out to be a mauling, maybe 3-4-0, because the way Chelsea, played in this game. And as a Maresca as well, he should raise his hand up and say he got it wrong. He got it wrong the way he set up the team. Now, there's tactics, there's X's and O's in football, but there's also the psychology in football, psychology of football. When you're playing against a side like Brentford, when you have the first whistle for the first half, the game starts. They're a bit more open. Although they'll still be defensive, they're a bit more open. But as the game continues to ebb away, they begin to become more compact, defend more stoutly. And you, being the A side, with the honest of getting 3 points, you begin to attack even more. You begin to press high even more, and then you leave spaces in behind you. So Enzo Maresca got his tactics wrong. He got the selection wrong. In this game, you can be for a manager to be in, because I think overall he's a decent manager, but he needs to get his tactics right. I'm not Enzo Maresca out, but his tactics today was poor, really, really poor, and I think he overthought it. He overthought his tactics today. And then going to players like Chalobah was very lucky today, although he did have some decent clearances, tackles and all, but it's like his concentration left him apart in the moments in the game. There was a point when there was a ball that came onto him that he could have controlled easily. He just hit his foot off and went to the Brentford player. So he's another one that you have to look at and say, in the summer, is this someone you really want to keep or you let him go? This is not time for, Coban faithful, we love Coban players. No, it's time to look at it and make the clinical, hard, black and white decision. Shaloba, we like you, we love you as a Chelsea Cobham graduate, but it's time for you to leave. It's time for you to go and cut ties. And then Enzo Fernandez in the midfield for me was really slow. He was really slow in the way he went about the play because sometimes he had the ball, a quick pass, but he would rather hold the ball, caress the ball a bit too long. And when you do that with it against a team like Brentford, whilst you're wasting time trying to get the pass neatly packaged, they are all behind the ball. And then it's over, the chance is gone. The chance is well and truly gone. Now, Rhys James is a very, very good player, obviously, and would always show his ability. But playing him at left back is a waste. Playing him at left back is an absolute waste. It's almost like, giving someone a car who hasn't taken any driving lessons. Doesn't have a driving license, hasn't taken any driving lessons, and you say, okay, take this car key and drive. Or someone who has been driving in America for years and then moves to the UK, and you say, go drive. He hasn't got his driving lessons. He hasn't learned how to drive, on UK roads. But you say, okay, take me on the trip to London. It's pointless. Rhys James, we know what he's good at. His superpower is going up and down that right side. That is what the superpower is. I know Maresca has come to sort of, I wouldn't say quite deceive people, but you have some people who just love a coach. No matter what the coach says, no matter what the coach does, everyone would just, follow what he says. Everyone would just, people just want to say, oh yeah, I supported the coach. I support the coach. But it's human for you to say, I think in this game, I think in this instance, the coach has got it wrong. And I think Enzo Maresca has got it wrong with Rhys James. He's not a midfielder. He's definitely not a left back. And I think maybe if you want to rest him, maybe he plays one game, he rests out the other game, but playing in his actual natural position. So for me, Enzo Maresca got it wrong. These huge points Chelsea have dropped in this Champions League, in the race for top four and race for Champions League spots, because I don't have any confidence in Manchester United. I don't know if you do. I don't have any confidence in them because as a Chelsea fan right now, you'll be hoping and praying that they're able to get a result against Man City, but you just know Man City will just steamroll them in the form that Manchester United are. At minute, Man City will steamroll them, probably put three past them, and that'll be it. So people might say, oh, they'll be from out the window, but you don't have any confidence in Manchester United, and you shouldn't be having confidence in Manchester United. You shouldn't be. And then talking about Man City, you don't want them ahead of you, like they're actually ahead of you going into every game day, because you don't want that. And then we're talking about Tosin. I think Tosin was fairly decent, in my opinion. He wasn't spectacular because no one was spectacular today. He was fairly decent, in my opinion. So maybe I should give him kudos for that. Yeah, he was fairly decent. He got a yellow card. And the build-up play, too slow, in my opinion. You have the ball. Build-up play should be quicker. Even if you want to pass short passes, build up with short passes, you should be quicker on the ball. You should be quicker on the ball. Quick passes. Even if you want to pass short pass, goalkeeper, centre back, move to full back, you should be quicker on the ball. But today, Chelsea is so slow, so slow. And you're playing against a team like Brentford, then you're in trouble. I was saying it the other day against Spurs. So when you're playing against a team like Spurs, definitely they're going to press high. Definitely you're going to have, and playing them, playing that ridiculous high line. So you can take your time, build up from the back, and play the ball in behind them. When you're playing a team like Brentford, you need to be quick with your passes. You don't have to overly telegraph the passes. You don't have to overly telegraph the passes. So just have dropped huge points today, very, very important points, going into into race for top four. And it's really difficult now. The only thing that can save Chelsea, in my opinion, and that's not even it's not even concrete or written in stone, is if come end of the season it's discovered that the fifth place team can qualify for the Champions League. That's the only thing. That's the only thing that can save Chelsea right now. Because if Man City ends up winning today, then I think top four, that race for top four becomes really, really, really difficult. So I want to know what your thoughts and opinions are, on the game, on Palmer's performance. Palmer, yes, is another player that I have to talk about. I know each time people talk about Palmer, people get angry, people get upset, people say, "How dare you mention Palmer?" No, we are all humans and we are all fallible. We are all open to making errors, we're all open to making mistakes, and people can be critical of our performances. Now, Palmer still remains Chelsea's most important player, 100%. Palmer still is a very, very good player, 100%. Don't allow anyone to tell you different. But I've said it before, if you want to go to that next level where you're now elite, you're not at the elite level, you're now punching the ceiling and wanting to become world class, your decision making has to become a plus. It just has to. It just has to. And you then have to gain a new level of maturity where you say, now I'll make the right play. I may not score, I may not assist, but the pass I make would open up play. The decision I make would put my team in the best position to score, the best position to create. Now, there are three instances in this game that I could pick out where Cole Palmer made the wrong decision and robbed Chelsea of the opportunity of creating a chance. Now, you had twice, you had Sancho free, wide on the left. He was free. All the Brentford defenders have packed into the middle. I would have thought the right decision was drop the ball off to Sancho and then make the secondary runs into the box. Either Sancho could flash the cross across goal or square the ball back to you. But no, he took the ball, turned, and shot the ball straight at the Brentford player. Then another opportunity on the break, on the counter, Pedro Neto wide on the right, and then Cole Palmer held the ball, moved the ball, and moved straight into crowd. The counter attack was gone, and it was only then he laid the ball off to Pedro Neto. Now, why is this important? Why is it crucial? Because your most important player, being in Chelsea's case, Cole Palmer, will always have most of the ball, will always be expected to make the decisions for the team. And so if that player makes the wrong decision more time than makes more time than he doesn't, then you put yourself in a spot of bother. Then you're now in a tight position. Then it becomes difficult for you. Yes, he may score one goal. Yes, he may make an assist. But if in a game he has 10 decisions to make, and even 5 or 6 of them are the wrong decisions, then the team is in a spot of bother. Then it becomes difficult for the team to play. It becomes difficult for the team, to win. So that's for Palmer. He's had an excellent season so far from a statistical point of view. He's got 14 goals already in all competitions. He's got 7 assists. So that gives him 21 goal contributions. That's into the 1 goal contribution. So in anyone's book, even for strikers, you can say that's a decent outlay. That's a decent output. Then even for a midfielder, even a more decent output. But overall, there's something he needs to get off his head. I know he does it from a point of view where he sees himself like he's the best player in the team. He has to make the right choice. No, he has to, do his best to help the team win whenever he's on the ball. But in football, you mustn't dribble 4 or 5 players to, be the best player. You mustn't always be the one to score. You mustn't always be the one to make that assist to be the best player on the pitch. It's down to your decision making. And now for me, I have to go back to Enzo Maresca. Enzo Maresca, his substitutions got me scratching my head. Now, the only out that I could possibly give him would be Noni Madueke. This is, I think, his second game after injury, after his long injury absence. Maybe that's why. But otherwise, you're looking for a goal, you're looking for a win against Brentford. Why are you taking Madueke off? Take Sancho off. Take Sancho off, have Pedro Neto or Madueke play out on that wing, and then you have Pedro Neto or Madueke play out on the other wing. So you have balance where you're attacking, you know you have pace down the wings. And then for me, Nkunku, like I said, it's time for him to leave. So why are you picking Nkunku ahead of Jackson? Now, the only excuse I can give Enzo Maresca is this. Possibly, Jackson is just coming back from a lengthy injury absence, so maybe he's trying to, slowly integrate him back into the Chelsea side. But for me, there's no way this present time you're having Sancho play. You're having Nkunku play ahead of Jackson. You're having Sancho play ahead of Neto. No, it just doesn't make sense to me at this minute. And this inverted midfield thing, where you're having your inverted fullback thing, where you're having your fullbacks almost imprisoned, almost imprisoned in that midfield role. For me, it doesn't make any sense to me. It doesn't make any sense. For me, I prefer the fullbacks to be dynamic. I want to see dynamism. You go out on the outside to create width. Sometimes you go out, you come back on the inside, to make the midfield compact. Dynamism, but didn't quite see that today. No. Didn't quite see that today. A lot of balls were lost in the midfield because of slow build-up. And one thing people should understand, you can have all this sort of sexy, supposedly modern football tactics and formation. You're having your fullbacks inverted into midfield. But one thing remains, your fullback isn't the best passer of the ball. They could be the best crosser, but the best passer of the ball, they are not the people you expect to help you control games. Definitely not through the midfield. So when you're having your gusto in those midfield positions, you're always going to struggle. It's not going to be pretty. It's not going to look good. You could have them come in and out of that spot, but the problem is, if you want them to be there 95% of the time, then that's the issue you have. That's the issue you have. Back again to the fullbacks. Talking about Cucurella. Why didn't he start? He should have started. He should have started. Because the pressure started building on Brentford only when certain substitutions were made. Only when your Jackson came on, only when Cucurella came on. That's when the pressure started building up. Neto came on, the pressure began to build up. So for me, this is a poor result. I'll just check what's the Manchester City. What is the score line so far? Manchester is it just started 6 minutes in 0-0. So Manchester City, Manchester United 0-0. So, but that game, you just know Man City are going to win the game. There's no need to hold out hope that Man United will win, because Manchester City will win that game. No, seriously, I'd like to know your thoughts and opinions on this performance. What do you think about Enzo Maresca and his tactics, in this game? What do you think about individual performances? Like Chalobah, for me, I think Chalobah, right now, the best he can do is just keep playing, because he keeps being picked. Put yourself in the shop window and just let him go come the end of the season. Sanchez, he made some good saves today. I must give him credit. He made some good saves today, or else this game probably would have been 2-0 to Brentford. So he made some good saves today, but he still should leave. He still should leave. Jackson, he came on and was better than Nkunku, which is not difficult to do given how Nkunku has been playing. I still think he would be better suited to play that left wing role. And then you have someone like Victor Osimhen signing as your striker. You have your Victor Osimhen signing as a striker. People talking about Liam Delap. Now, Liam Delap, I've been saying this. He is a nice young player. He has been decent this season. You can say he scored 12 goals for Ipswich Town. So you can say for a team in a relegation dogfight, who probably have been relegated, or they probably will be relegated this season. He's done well to get into double digits in terms of goals. But you saw how Brentford played Chelsea today. It's not the same way they're going to play Ipswich Town when they play them. It's not the same way. It's going to be different. They're going to pack the ball and they're going to play something similar to how they play Chelsea. But when they play Ipswich, they're going to be more on the front foot. So the same thing applies. Can he do it when he gets to a top club, that is the A side in, let's say, 90% of the games they're going to play? when you come up against teams that are outside the top four, you're expected to win, and therefore that means teams are going to defend, tougher against you. You're not going to have those spaces. So how is he going to adapt? Those are questions that people need to ask, people need to answer. And I think for me, Victor Osimhen is someone that would be, more suited to that. He's played in a title-winning side. When he plays for Nigeria, he plays for he comes up against defenders that want to defend deep and be tough with him. So that's the kind of player I think you need. And then for me, Jackson can go out and play on the wing. Where he can just be free. He doesn't have the expectation of goals playing as a winger. He can just 1v1. Imagine Jackson with his pace and his skill, 1v1 a fullback. You know what he can do, what he can bring. And you have Victor Osimhen in that striker's position. For me, this is, once again, I'll say this is a disappointing result. Very, very, very disappointing. Dropped huge points dropped. And yeah, like I said, if Manchester City wins today, then I'll be tempted to say the top four race is over. Because can you count on this Chelsea side to chase up Man City? Can you count on this Chelsea side to chase Man City, catch them, and surpass them? I don't think so. Because right now, the way it seems is like the only way Chelsea gets top four is if Chelsea just somehow stumbles onto top four. Every other team around them drops points, lose, draw, and then you just end up getting two wins in 5 games and just somehow find yourself in the top four. Because otherwise, you're expecting that based on Chelsea's form that they can be consistent enough to go back to back wins, And it really be disappointing if Chelsea fail to make top four. If Chelsea fail to get into the Champions League come next season, it will really be disappointing because the sponsorship money, even the enjoyment of football, you want to see Chelsea playing, in the top European competition. That is going to be sad to see Chelsea out of it again. And what I don't want is Chelsea going to the Conference League again. And I know if Chelsea ends up in Europa League, what you would hear is, oh, it's progression. The first season, you didn't get European football. The next season, you got a Conference League. The next season, you got Europa League. And it will be spun, it to look like something good. It will be spun to look like something nice. Oh, yeah, finishing European sports, Europa League sports. And there are people who will buy it, who will say, oh, yeah, that's good. That's progression. Now, on the face of it, it could appear to be progression, but for me, it's not progression. It's not progression. Of course, you want to play in a competition stronger than the Conference League, but it's not progression, in my opinion. Now, going into the coming games, for me, what I want to see from an Enzo Maresca is this. I want to see Enzo Maresca, playing. I want to see Enzo Maresca keeping the game simple, going back to the traditional old school way of playing. You have your fullbacks bombing forward on either side. You have 2 pacey wingers going bombing forward on either side. Therefore, you're giving your 10 options to pass the ball. You have your Jackson playing through the middle. Nkunku for me right now, I don't care if he plays. I care if he plays. I don't want him to play. I don't want him to start games because right now his head is somewhere else. His head is either back in France or is back in Germany. I don't want him anymore to play. I used to root for him because he's a top-class player for sure. When he plays in that support striker role, when he plays in a team that's fluid, yes. But his confidence has been messed with by Enzo Maresca. So for me, either way he has to go because it's one thing if your confidence is messed with as a player, and then you come on the pitch and you don't, and then when you don't perform on the pitch, that's another thing. That means you have to then go. That means you have to leave. Unfortunately, that's the nature of the game. That's the nature of the beast. As I'm saying, you have to then leave. Because if you don't produce, you can't say, oh, but the coach did this to him. You need to be producing. And he's had this opportunity to come on and have an impact. There are times in the game where I was wondering, what is wrong with this guy? What is he thinking about? Is he thinking about lunch? Like he's thinking about what he would have after the match? Because there were passes that would be played into him. Like his head, it felt like his head was literally somewhere else. Oh, the ball is there. Oh, where is it? Oh, yeah, got the ball. He wasn't looking to get on the ball and do anything. His pressing was next to mediocre. Was mediocre at best. And not to just single him out, the pressing from the entire team was poor. Was poor. And this thing I saw, I don't know if you guys would have noticed this as well. When you had a winger, a couple of times Jadon Sancho would be on the ball making runs towards the 18-yard box. All the midfielders, all the forwards, all the other forwards would take their time making those runs in behind. Would take their time making those supporting runs to get in the box for a possible cross or at least drag the defenders away from Sancho. It happened a couple of times. And it even happened on some counter attacks from Brentford. Making the counter attack, and you see Enzo Fernandez will be looking. I said, well, just watch it. Oh, what's going to happen? Maybe someone else is going to make the tackle, and then we are going to counter their counter attack. So it was a poor performance all around today. 0-0s. Some will say a point is better than nothing. Yes, a point is better than nothing, but you have to know who is chasing you. This is not a Leicester. This is not just Aston Villa. This is a Man City, and they're a side that can go 2, 3, 4, 5 game winning streak. And if that's done, it's over. It's well and truly over. So for me, what are your thoughts on the game? Chelsea, Brentford, 0-0 for me, big points dropped. What are your thoughts on the game? What are your thoughts going into next season? And for you, what if Chelsea misses out on top four and just wins the Conference League? Would that be, a successful season for you still? For me, in my own opinion, I don't think I will class that as a successful season. It will just be, okay season, yeah, you won the Conference League, and then what? For me, finishing the Champions League and then, of course, winning the Conference League, then kind of makes kind of say, okay, that's a decent to okay season. A decent to okay season, and then you can build on that going into next season. Hopefully, you can really challenge. And now the sign is that the board have making that blue core or clear leg, whichever one they want to call themselves, have making so far. Still does inspire me with confidence. They're still going on to sign, a young central midfielder. That's Darius Esugo. That's nice, but that's not the position where you say Chelsea are really desperate for someone. You can say maybe Lavia to be a cover for Lavia or be a replacement for Romeo Lavia, maybe. But the main positions still remain. Two main positions: our goalkeeper position, and for me, I wouldn't mind seeing Mike Penders coming in. And then you have that striking position. Jackson cannot make you a title challenger. I'm sorry. There are people who love Jackson. There are people who feel like Chelsea's poor run of form has been because Jackson was out, but they forget that whilst he was available, before going out, before being injured, Chelsea were on a poor run of form. So I don't understand what people keep trying to make him, make it seem like he's some sort of messiah for the team. Chelsea has been on a poor run of form, even with Jackson in the team. Now he's back in the team. Yes, he will make those runs in behind. He's got the pace. The question I want to ask you now, I want people to answer this honestly. If you get an academy player with pace, or sign a player from League Two, from a League Dog club, or from Bundesliga club, just with pace, I say, okay, going behind will make that pass to. Wouldn't that player still stretch the opposition defense? Yes, they would. They've got the pace. They would stretch the opposition defense. But what makes the difference is that quality in the box. When you have the crosses coming in, there are some crosses that came in today. He wasn't even anticipating. Against Spurs as well, he wasn't able to anticipate those crosses. He was making the runs to somewhere else while the cross was coming to somewhere else. And it's not his fault. He's just who he is. He is not that kind of predatory striker. He's not that kind of, striker with that instinct to get in the box, convert chances in the box, read headers as they, cross as they come, to latch onto them, to finish off, either with his foot or a powerful header. That's not just his game. So Chelsea should stop trying to make Jackson into what he's not, because that is going to continually cost the team, in my own humble opinion. So I think the same Chelsea wants to complete their transfer dealings early, and there's a club in Italy that have a star striker that's currently on loan. They say they want to also sell that star striker very quickly. And Victor Osimhen, they say they want to sell him. He's not going to remain with them. He's not going to have a loan with Galatasaray, a loan extended at Galatasaray. He's still going to go. So for me, that is who you go get. Who you go get. I know people are saying, "Oh, want to sign someone under 22." What is the benefit apart from, oh, this player can be here for 10 years? And what you forget about being here for 10 years, the player has to be delivering from that 22, 23, and that's when you can say, okay, he's going to do something for us in those 10 years. And for me right now, I don't see Jackson in that light. And then Liam Delap, I don't think he's caught up for it just yet. I don't think he is, and he's going to attract a huge fee for £40 million. You may say, oh, £40 million is a bargain. £40 million would be a bargain for a Victor Osimhen. Yeah, I say that. If you're signing Victor Osimhen, a top quality world class striker like Victor Osimhen, you sign him for £40 million, then that's a bargain. Because normally you wouldn't sign a player of that quality for that low. Now, signing a Liam Delap for £40 million is not a bargain. It's about where his price should be. It's about where his pricing should be. And when he comes in, is he going to deliver? Would he be ready to deliver? Or it will be another thing of where we say, oh, the player is trying to develop. We need 2 or 3 more years for him to develop. This is not this is not a software factory. You keep developing things. Oh, you have to develop, give him time to grow. 2, 3 years, you then get the best type of striker. And that's what you understand. When you're talking about Liam Delap, when you're talking about all these young strikers, you have to accept that they will need time to develop. They will need 2 or 3 years before they come good, before they master, the art of playing for a top club. But at this point in time, that is not what Chelsea really needs. No, to play in that striking role, you need someone that is not only a top quality striker, but also has that leadership, mentality. Jackson doesn't have it. I don't think Liam Delap has it. Right now, need a striker, a centre back, and the fullbacks. I don't even know what to say about the fullbacks, because the way Enzo Maresca has chosen to use these fullbacks, for me, I just ask myself, which world-class fullback would thrive under Enzo Maresca's style? Would you see the best of any world-class fullback under this Enzo Maresca style, where he insists that they must all invert, they must all live in the midfield like is their natural habitat? So would they really, shine? Just mention which fullbacks are you going to buy that would really thrive in this Enzo Maresca style, where everyone is inverting and living in the midfield? Would they really thrive? Would they even really see their full potential? Now, Cucurella, for me, I said, is the inverted fullback king, and he's played that role very well. But we're still missing something that he's good at, which is providing width, bringing crosses into the box, creating chances for strikers and midfielders. With his wing player, going out wide to put cross in the box. But you're not going to get it because he's going to everly remain inverted in midfield. Same thing with Malo Gusto. Malo Gusto's superpower is just like Jackson, opening up your legs, stretching your legs, showing pure pace, going out wide, putting the cross into the box, providing support for your winger. But now with Enzo Maresca, we're not seeing that. That's not happening. So right now, Chelsea currently sit on the 4th spot. Man City right now are second. I think it's a point or so. But if they end up winning today, as I expect that they'll win, then that'll be it for Chelsea. So for me, time to grade the players. For me, starting with Sanchez, I'll give Sanchez a 5 because he made some decent saves. But Sanchez will always Sanchez. There are some errors and mistakes he made in the game that got me scratching my head. So, but for those big saves he made that kept the game all square, I'll give him a 5. And then for Augusto, I'll give him a 4. I'll give him a 4.5 because I think this inverted fullback thing is stealing a lot of things we should be seeing from him. He's stealing some of his special attributes that we saw under Pochettino. Now, I'm not saying Pochettino is a wonderful manager or anything because each time someone mentions his name, it's like you're rooting for him. No. I'm just saying, under Pochettino, we saw Malo Gusto have it creating width, stretching the play with his pace and with his technique out wide. But we're not seeing that under Maresca. So in this game, he gets a 4.5. Now for Tosin was slightly more comfortable, than Chaloba. So for me, I'll give Tosin a 5. And then for Chaloba, I'll give him a 4 because there are some mistakes he made in the game that would have put Chelsea in a real spot of bother. But somehow just survived it. So I'll give him a 4. And then in that fullback, left back role that Rhys James played, I don't think we saw his best either. He didn't quite do much. So for me, I'll give him a 4.5 because he didn't do much there. He didn't do much there. And it's not his fault. That's where the coach, Enzo Maresca, has chosen to play him. Then you move to the midfield. I'll give Moses Caicedo, I'll give him a 5.5 because I think he played well. He tried because most of the time he was left as a lone 6 in that midfield. And what people don't understand is people will say, but we have Gusto inverted. He inverted, but he wasn't providing. That's the odd thing with this inversion thing. Malo Gusto was inverting, but he didn't quite provide that sort of support to Caicedo. So for the best part of the game, Caicedo was playing as a lone 6, in my opinion. And then you have Enzo Fernandez. For me, Enzo Fernandez is solid 4. He wasn't great. He was not great today. He wasn't great today. No. I'll give him a 4. And then Nkunku, Christopher Nkunku, that's a solid 3.5 because he did next to nothing today. He looked out of sorts today. And to be fair, he has been looking that way for a long time. So I'll give him a 3.5. And then you go to Noni Madueke. Noni Madueke today, he's one player I've been rooting for. I've always been supported, and I'll still support him. But for this game itself, this game itself, I'll give him a 4. That's the match rating for him is a 4. And then you're talking about Cole Palmer when he came on. Cole Palmer came on. I'll give him. To be honest, I'll be fair. I'll give Cole Palmer a 5. He tried some things, but his decision making for me has let him down, and that is one thing he has to take out from his game. Honestly, he has to take out this poor decision making because he will always have majority of the ball in the team. You will have the ball in the dangerous areas on the pitch, and when you have the ball in the dangerous areas on the pitch where you can hold your position team, you have to make the right decision. And in this game, in several locations that I've talked about earlier on in the video, he didn't make the right decision. So I'll just give him a 5. And then you're talking about Nicholas Jackson when he came on. For me, Nicholas Jackson, I'll give him a 5 because he ran, he showed some endeavor, he showed some effort. There was a chance he created for, he almost created, but the Brentford defender got to it, almost got an own goal, but eventually cleared it. He shredded the play a lot better than Nkunku, which is not saying much, but he did shred the play, better. So for that, I'll give him a 5. And then you're talking about and then Chaloba, like I said, Chaloba is a 3.5, that's for sure. So overall, the team didn't play well, and for the team, I'll give the overall team performance a 3. And for Maresca, because he chose a poor starting lineup and didn't quite do anything to change the game with his substitutions, I'll give him a 3 as well. So overall, both on the bench and on the pitch, performance was poor all around. So hopefully the team can improve going into the next game, going into the next fixtures, and hopefully, just hopefully today, maybe Manchester United does Chelsea a favour and does the unthinkable and wins against Manchester City, or else that's it. So, but as when it comes to the end of the stream, Thanks for watching. Thanks for supporting the channel. Please subscribe if you haven't. The notification bell to notify each time a video comes on.